Just a fair warning before the video starts. This video will contain multiple spoilers from multiple films that will be discussed and warned about in each part. Thank you. When I was coming up with an idea for a video for the channel that I wanted to begin working on, I struggled with multiple concepts, mostly because I was stuck on gaming ideas, poetry, and the fuzzy haze of what content I wanted to push out. I've always been a fan of movies and shows and the themes they present to us: humanity, war, forgiveness, religion, power, etc. And yet the first theme I'm choosing is, oddly enough, romance/love, which at first I thought, I'm a man and that doesn't really make sense, and it's not exactly what I should do. It's definitely strange for me, but I'm going to explain to you, the viewer, why the titles I'm going to cover actually change the way I see the world and myself. And additionally, how I'm more happy because of it. And maybe even why you should do the same. The first title I want to actually look at is the first anime romance film I've ever watched. And that one kind of sent me spiraling down this colorful road. The film Your Name, directed by Makoto Shinkai, released in 2016. This film won over 17 awards and earned 27 nominations in various categories, all of which I'm not going to go over, mostly just because this video is more subjective than informal about this kind of reputation. But its reputation does precede it, as there are many good reviews and essays about the film. To me, though, I simply enjoyed the story for how it was written and the beauty that came from it. The animation is gorgeous, the music's exceptional, the story is engaging, albeit a little confusing, and I enjoyed every character, and, to an extent, pretty much every moment of the film. The plot centers around two characters who wake up occasionally in each other's bodies. This would be Mitsuha Miyamisu and Taki Tachibana, I think that's how you say it. They eventually figure out that the dreams they have are not in fact dreams, but them swapping bodies. And once they realize that this is actually real and happening, they adapt by writing in their journals about how to act and how to be themselves when they switch. The story is silly in its own right, a body switching story. But as they go on in switching and living each other's lives, they actually develop a deeper connection towards each other. Now, that is a very brief rundown of the story, with myself not really trying to spoil it too much, because I highly recommend you watch the movie at least once. Heavy themes. We got, obviously, urban versus suburban, traditional versus modern, the ideas of connection between us all tethered up, love, disaster, time, and obviously the play on the star-crossed lover, as well as the body switching dilemma. The movie's definitely a heart-wrencher in its own right, but there is one scene I'd like to go over that really made the movie for me. And it goes without saying, spoilers ahead. Now, originally I was gonna provide context to actually what was going on in this scene prior, and then talk about it afterward. But after some mulling it over, I thought it'd be way more funny if I just didn't, so that you'd pretty much be forced to guess what was actually going on in the film. Or just assume it's all a drug trip. Either way, that's what I'm doing.
Musubi. If it's true, and time can be unraveled, just give me one more chance. comet.
Your name's going to be Mitsuha.
Both of you are my treasures.
You're going to be a big sister. I'm so sorry, my dears.
Dad, when is Mommy coming home?
I couldn't help her.
Get a hold of yourself!
Who cares about the shrine?
But you're in charge now!
I loved Futaba, not Miyamizu Shrine.
Get out! Now listen to me, girls. Starting today, you'll be living with Grandma.
Who am I? Who are you? Don't be full of yourself. Like you have a girlfriend. Let's be nice. They've probably met up about now. Why am I? I'm going to Tokyo. What? Wait, sis! Grandma, would you mind doing me a favor? Oh yeah, the comet. It'll be at its brightest today, right?
Mitsuha, don't go there. Mitsuha, you've got to get out of town before the comet strikes. Mitsuha, run! Mitsuha! Mitsuha! Mitsuha!
Truly immaculate. A spectacle for the eyes. It's beautiful. Truly beautiful. And what it represents is even more so. Which, to me, is a little bit of everything. And how it's all connected, as well as the characters that are inside of this little drug trip scene. Love overcovering multiple boundaries here is easily one of the most heart-gripping aspects, separating this movie apart from the other ones we're probably going to talk about. But by this point in the film, I was, in fact, glued to my screen. The whole presentation was bringing out a new level of engagement with me, and I was feeling a little bit more than usual. And maybe it was just the art, maybe it was the sound or the lack thereof, and how everything led to this point. I would say I was screeching out like a girl, but I think I was feeling heavier and heavier beneath the surface and in my chest. And honestly, this whole movie kind of just brings that out of you.
Like the Kuchikamizake. You offer it in the
Although Your Name started my journey into these loving films, I feel as though this next film actually broke me into pieces. Which is funny because, in a sense, the next film isn't exactly a romance. Rather, it has elements of love, forgiveness, growth, and healing.
It's different.
What made you
Apart
decide to
from the
change
mainstream,
it? Do you have a hot date?
just
Whatever it is,
romantic
you
love
should keep it
that
like
continues
this.
throughout the
Stop
story.
it, you guys.
The next,
You're making
and
me
personally my
blush.
favorite
I
film
just
we're
didn't
going to
have
talk
any time
about
to do it, that's
is
all.
A Silent Voice. A Silent Voice was directed by Naoko Yamada and released on the 17th of September 2016. This film won over 6 awards and 9 nominations, and I got this information from IMDb if you're wondering. But again, this is a reference. I don't really care too much about the critical words and reviews. This is more of a subjective video. But I will say that this is probably one of the best films I've ever watched in my life. I actually rewatched it because it's just that damn good. And we're going to go over it. So, as per standard, spoilers ahead. To give a quick summary of the story without spoiling too much, the main character of our film is a kid named Shoyo. And as a kid, he bullies a newly transferred deaf girl named Shoko. After a series of serious bullying and even physical harm, she later transfers, and Shoyo spends the rest of his next few years unable to connect to anyone, regretting his actions and hating himself from the guilt and shame he feels for what he did. Later on after this point though, he later tries to reconnect with Shoko, befriend her and make up for his wrongs, and learn to grow as a person and heal from everything that's happened. And I'm going to leave the story at that. There's obviously side characters and interlapping stuff and a lot of cool moments that I really don't want to spoil.
We'll see you tomorrow, show ya. Later.
Even while I'm writing the script for this video, I'm actually listening to the soundtrack for this movie. A lot of it's subtle. You really get a feeling for the emptiness, the hope, and the pain, that comes with watching this movie. There's an eerie silence in between a lot of notes in the OST they did for this, and it drives home like every scene. And now, not all of them are like this, obviously, but you will notice it. And as for the visuals, beautiful, absolutely stunning. Not as much as the budget they had for the last film that we talked about, but they did a really good job of making you feel the tension in the scenes. The angles and where they did close-ups and the lighting, and along with the soundtrack that came with it, they did a really good job with the direction. The director did simply fantastic. Even while I'm making the script and seeing the scenes again, I'm feeling a lot of the same pain. Okay, now, just like the previous film, I'd actually like to show you a special scene from the movie that I particularly enjoy. Now, my favorite scene is actually the ending scene, but I'm obviously not going to show you that because that would be very wrong of me. So I'm actually just going to show you my second favorite scene. And to give a little bit of context, unlike the last one, basically Shoko comes to like Shoyu for what he does after a certain amount of time. She invites him over to a bridge, she does her hair, she even gets him a gift. And this whole scene plays out.
Where are you going, Shoya?
What was that? Where am I going? To the bakery. Yuzuru asked me to get some bread to feed the koi.
But you already have some bread. I bet she only wants the most so she can eat it. You don't have to buy her
slow
any.
down,
I
Zach.
can't believe she made you do
Wait,
that
just-
for her.
Can you sign it?
Is my voice weird?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't. Your voice sounds totally okay. I'm gonna go get some bread. Be right back. Oh. What are you doing? A present for me? Wow, thanks. Can I open it? Like right now. What are these things? Thank you so much.
Let me.
What's that? Something about these?
I love you.
It is pretty, isn't it? Where are you going?
The following scene actually broke me, because for a minute I thought it was pretty obvious what Shoko was saying. So maybe our main protagonist Shoya would actually reciprocate it. It's actually quite sad because, once again, as is evident throughout the movie, she wasn't understood. And in my take, my personal opinion,
I hate me too.
I think Shoyo couldn't have believed it was love anyway, because by this point in the film, he still hadn't really actually dealt with his guilt. He's just been kind of dancing around it. And the communication throughout the film is a theme that presents itself very painfully, I might add. In the end, I guess one of the major questions to ask is whether the main characters actually romantically love each other. But it's not really the point of the film. In the end, there is love, but it's more personal and it's about overcoming trauma. So the movie doesn't really take the approach of the romantic tropes. And that's why I like it. I love this movie because it takes on a lot of those concepts and themes, and it doesn't force itself to be the traditional romantic cliche. Instead, it feels grounded and chooses to engage in other sort of issues and emotions and motives that usually aren't in a lot of other films. This movie, in my opinion, is a unique experience all of its own.
The third film that I want to discuss is more of a straightforward romantic love story. One between two people with similar dreams and ambitions, and a very obvious hurdle to conquer. This one I think I enjoy because it's wholesome and pure and really straightforward. I'm referring to the film Josie, the Tiger, and the Fish, which I will refer to as JTF for certain parts of the rest of this video. JTF was directed by Kotaro Tamura and premiered in Japan on December 25th, 2020. The film won only one single award and got 8 nominations, which doesn't sound like a lot, but again, we don't care for the critics, especially considering the one award was Anime Movie of the Year in 2022 for the Anime Trending Awards, which again, I got this information from IMDb. And also while making this video, I discovered that the film is based on an original Japanese short story of the same name published in 1984 by Saiko Tanabe. And funny enough, there was also a live action film released in 2003. So that's fun.
As for the summary of the film, we're started off with our main character, Tsuneo Suzukawa. He works a lot of part-time jobs in order to save up enough money so that he can go travel to Mexico through a program at his university that allows him to study abroad. It is explained later in the movie why he wants to do this. I won't give it away. But after some time, he actually walks down the street and saves the wheelchair-bound Josee, as from the title. And the story continues after this event, with Tsuneo being in charge of watching her at home as a part-time job because her grandma wants to go off and do other things instead of watch a full-grown woman in her household. Slowly their relationship expands as their shared dream of seeing the world become way more evident to each other. I don't want to go any further than this just because I don't want to spoil anything. Okay, first I'd like to go over the soundtrack, which is very uplifting and warm, I'd say, with a variety reflecting the different scenes of the movie and their ups and downs. They are, in my opinion, critical, but the most important moments have the best pieces. The animation quality, on top of that, is pretty good, and then sometimes absolutely breathtaking. Sometimes the water and the sky exude this amazing beauty and design. This, I believe, reflects both the main character's view of adventure in the world. But even the base level drawing for this movie is still of great standard. There's no perfect, smooth movement, yet it's still beautiful. And you'll notice that in the special scenes section, because sometimes the world is stunning compared to everything else that is drawn. As per the other films, we are now at the special scenes section. Now, I was actually torn between multiple scenes, but because I'd rather you just watch the movie yourself, I'll show you an early scene that is pretty dang good. And for context's sake, Josee leaves her home when she's not supposed to, and Saneo, instead of bringing her back as custom for his duties, he actually helps bring her to the ocean.
Hey, it's not gonna be easy to roll through the sand like that. Are you alright? Don't push yourself too hard. Hey!
I need to know the answer. I remember my dad. He was quizzing me, and he asked if I knew how the ocean tasted. I'd only been one time. I had him bring me to the beach when I was a little girl. But I was afraid of the waves, so I didn't go near the water. Unfortunately, he died before he could tell me the answer. I've learned from books that it tastes salty. But I really want to know, and this might be my only chance! What do you think you're doing? Put me down! I'm warning you, put me down or else!
I thought you wanted to know how it tasted.
Salty. It really is salty. It's even saltier than I imagined.
You got your answer. Careful, I don't want to drop you.
It's salty. It really is.
This whole scene resonates because of the direction that it was taking in. The water-colored sky, the waves and the sound of them, the feelings between the characters, the limitations in getting past them, and the love that kind of made it all possible. Not to mention, both characters up until this point haven't expressed joy this strongly if you pay attention to how they feel throughout most of the movie. Further pushing the point home, they make each other better, or at least whatever's happening between them is making a difference. But it's a romance movie. Who would have guessed that love was going to make them better in the first place? My final thought is I love this movie because although it's a very standard romance story, the later parts of the story emphasize how love helps us be better people. And the story itself lets us know that certain limitations just don't matter, and love kind of finds a way. Not to mention, the whole wheelchair dilemma isn't dragged across your face. If anything, her reclusiveness is more evident than her disability throughout the film. And, of course, I rewatched this one, but not just because it's good, and because it ends good, and that you need to see it, but because I also missed the post-credit scene, and I had to rewatch it again just to kind of see it, and it added way more to the story to make me feel even better about the conclusion. I like how this one just feels good and gives you the hope of that. To conclude the video with all these movies kind of set me off in a new direction. I hadn't really considered the enjoyment of these kinds of movies, or if they would have any effect on me at all. I'm pretty used to live action rom-coms, but they did, and I don't regret it. I feel like I've been missing out on a lot of art mediums. I've always enjoyed deep stories and complicated philosophical questions portrayed through how an artist expresses himself. But I think I forgot that love truly is one of the greatest strengths of humankind. It inspires, strengthens, and is unwavering in its own right. Not to mention the flexibility of it. It forms itself in family, friends, mentors, and from all emotions we can muster. Embracing it however it forms is probably one of the purest forms of our humanity. And for me personally, my heart felt different watching these kinds of movies. I'm not ashamed to say, and now I think I have a little thought behind how I see some of the relationships around me. And maybe to our enemies and rivals of the past, maybe things could have been different if we all learned to love and understand one another better. So yes, these anime romance movies, A Silent Voice, Your Name, Josee, the Tiger and the Fish, they did change my life because they changed my perspective and kind of how I view things a little bit. They also threw me into a genre I'm not used to. So, I remember the first time I watched Your Name, one of the first thoughts I actually had was, I remember feeling, just for a moment, I forgot that being emotional is okay, and that learning to understand other people's emotions is something we ought to strive to do. To conclude, I'll throw in one of my own quotes. In my words, a man without love in his heart is no man at all.